So good evening all. Welcome to this medical device industry specific training ISO 13485. Today's topic is control of non-conforming product. As part of industry specific free training, we are covering various standards. We have covered AS 9100 specific topics, IRIS railway industry specific topics. Now this is medical device specific topics. We already seen one topic, medical device file, and also we talk about Metacred. And this is the last session of this particular series. And today we are going to discuss about control of non-conforming product. So I'll just start with my company introduction before entering into this training. So we are into consulting, training, auditing services. So we are more into sector specific standard. So this is our portfolio for aerospace and defense industries. So there are different standards for them. We provide training consulting solutions. Similar way for automotive industries and medical device, we do ISO 13485, ICMed. Recently ICMed 13485 plus was launched, and we do Metacred and also C. So this is our portfolio for medical device industries. And general standard we do quality management, environmental management, health and safety management, information security, food safety, then social compliances. So these are all our various portfolio. And about myself, I'm Karthi Tyagarajan. I am practicing this management system for past 15 years. I'm auditor for various standard, including this ISO 13485. So this is what all about my profile. And today's training is quite interesting topic. Even this is pretty old topic. If you take any management system, quality management system particularly, the requirement of control of non-conforming products, right? It was there in the standard for a long time. If you heard about ISO 9000 series, the basic quality management system, there it was, this requirement is very much addressed. In every quality management system, this requirement was there. How this is different in ISO 13485. So let's discuss about this particular topic. Today agenda goes like this. What is this non-conforming product and what are the requirements in ISO 13485 and how to control it? This requirement very simple in nature, but why we are conducting this training? I think most of you are aware. In our social media page, we have conducted an online survey, which topic you would like to hear from us. And this is one of the most voted topic coming under medical device category. So for this upskill, reskill purpose, unlearn, relearn purpose, we are organizing this training. And today we are going to focus only on this particular class. As per ISO 13485, this 8.3, control of non-conforming products. So end of this training, you can able to clearly understand where this is applicable, when you want to initiate this particular class, who is responsible, how you are going to do, all those things we are going to cover. So most of the training, we always start with a pre-quiz. And this training also, we have designed a small questionnaire, try to hear from the participant what you think about this non-conforming product, how to control a non-conforming product. So I'm going to share a small link to you in the chat box. I request all participants try to make an attempt. So let's try to understand what this non-conforming products are and how we are going to deal with that. I have shared a link in the chat box. Please check and confirm whether that link is working for you. Yeah, so just Please make an attempt. So in this session, we have very limited participants. I could say the more crisp participants. So let's hear from them. So out of 17 participants, I have received 6 responses so far. Okay, I'll be sharing that link one more time. So these are the general question we need to ask ourselves when you are dealing in non-conforming product. What is this non-conforming product? How you are going to react if any non-conformity is identified? So these are the general questions we'll ask, right? So I'll leave this question open at the end of this training. If you want to relook, you can relook. So let's focus to the session. So out of 19 participants, I have received 10 responses. So the threshold has reached. So let's move to the session. So let's discuss this terminology, non-conforming products. This particular class precisely talks about non-conforming products. So how do we interpret the term? What is the definition of non-conforming product? So let's discuss one by one. We all know the simple definition. Anything which is not fulfillment, right? Not fulfilling a requirement, that is called as non-conformity. The requirement can be, we all know there are different type of requirements, right? It may be the customer requirement, regulatory requirements, product requirements, process requirements, then standard requirements, like you keep on adding a lot of requirements. So anything which is not fulfilling a requirement, that is called as non-conformity. And this requirement can be in any form. Some requirements are stated, some requirements are implied, some requirements are obligatory. As a management system practitioner, you need to understand the difference between these three important things: stated requirement, implied requirement, obligatory requirement. Stated, which means it is clearly specified in the customer contractual document or even drawing or specification, which was clearly written down. So most of the stated requirements are in the form of documented information, either in documents or records, right? That is what a stated requirement is. Implied requirements, typically they won't specify. You have to comply. Even though the stated requirements are met, if you are not met the implied requirement, still it is considered as a non-conformity. Then obligatories are typically a legal requirement, regulatory requirements, right? So try to interpret this terminology such a way, non-conformity is not always limited to, restricted to stated requirement. It also applicable to implied requirements. For example, implied requirement. What would be the storage condition or preservation condition for a medical device? Is it stated requirement or implied requirement? Let's take our simple example, glucometer or this pulse oximeter probe. Because of this COVID, now many consumers, right? Even the most of the houses now they have this medical device. Either they have a thermometer or they have this pulse oximeter probe, right? There are stated requirements how this medical device has to work, how it should function. You might have got user manual, you might have got the literature about the product, right? But there are a lot of implied requirements. Implied requirements are not write it down. It has to function, right? Typically, if you buy a watch, the requirement of watch is what? When you go and buy a watch from the market, or when you are buying a watch from your Amazon or Flipkart, what are the stated requirements they have mentioned there? Can you please tell me some example? If you want to buy a watch, how this watch manufacturer states the requirement. This watch has this feature, water resistant, and this has GPS in it. It is a smart watch. It can measure the SpO2. It can measure the lot of aspects, right? Warranty, right? These are the stated requirement. But what is the implied requirement of a watch? Per day, it has to show 24 hours, correct? But anyone have mentioned that? Anyone have stated that? My watch will always show the correct time. Have you noticed? Have you heard about any watch manufacturer have claimed that our watches will show correct time always? That is the example of implied requirement. Because it is implied. You did not to state that. So everything we need to consider. So this is the definition given in ISO 9000. This is not my definition. This is the definition given in ISO 9000. This is the standard we all know, the basic fundamentals and vocabulary. If you read ISO 13485 section 3, they have referred to this standard. So if you want to know any particular terminology, the correct definition, don't search in Google or don't search in Wikipedia or don't even look the Oxford Dictionary. You need to refer this standard, ISO 9000, fundamentals and vocabulary. In this, they have clearly defined what is non-conformity, what is requirement. From that, I have taken. And you try to remember one thing, these requirements can be generated by different interested parties, or as a company, you can generate on your own. If you are a design company, if you are an original equipment manufacturer, if it is your own design, you can clearly dictate the requirements, right? No, you are a contract manufacturer, then you have to listen to your customers. And there are some regulatory requirements, right? User requirements. So the requirement can be generated either internally or externally. So if a company is not meeting any of these requirements, that may be treated as a non-conformity, right? But what the title of this requirement? It is non-conforming product. So we are talking about only the product non-conformity. ISO 13485 8.3 class talks about only product non-conformity. If you are familiar with other management system, you might have heard about one class 8.7, that is control of non-conforming output, that includes product, services, everything. But here our focus only on the non-conforming product, which means anything related to medical device. That is the interpretation. So what is the definition of product? For this product, don't search ISO 9000. For the definition of product, ISO 13485 itself has in its own definition. In 3.7.6, it says what is product? Product is output of your company. It may be a medical device, it may be a hardware, it may be a component, it may be a sterilization service activities, right? Whatever the product you are generating as part of your operation, as part of your product realization, that is what the word product. Is that clear? So this standard, this particular class focusing on non-conforming product. And they given some note. Product, again, this is ISO 9000 definition. The product is not only restricted to the hardware, sometimes it may be related to software, services, your hardware, processed material, anything it can be connected. So this is what the interpretation of this word product. So there are a lot of definition notes given there. So in ISO 13485, you are very clear about your role, right? If you walk through ISO 13485 standard, there is a clear requirement. You have to determine what is your role in the medical device life cycle. There are multiple stages. You may be a designer, you may be a manufacturer, or you may be a service provider, or you are doing a sterilization as a business, or you do installation as a business, or you do everything, or you are just a warehouse, whatever you do, or you are just a dealer or distributor, it doesn't matter. Whatever your role, you may deal with some non-conforming product. So how to address that? How to control that? That is what the entire class. Now, can you give me some examples of non-conforming product? Now we have seen the definition. What is non-conformity? What is product? Now, can you please tell me some examples? What could be the examples for this non-conforming products, product non-conformities? You can type this in chat box, or you can unmute and speak, whatever the way you are comfortable. Can you give me some example of non-conforming products?
Like thermometer not giving the right temperature reading.
A product malfunction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Medical device malfunction. Okay, that is a non-conformity. The fire final meant the device itself a non-conformity. Right? What else? Yes. Software. Right? It has some bug or error. That is a non-conformity. But can we answer this?
Can we say a product rejected from FDA filing? That is also non-conformity.
Regulatory, right? Regulatory approval, your file get rejected or your product get rejected by testing or something, right? That is also related to a product non-conformity. Within your company, look at your organization. You may get a non-conformity at various phases, right? Incoming stage, you may get non-conformity, correct? Incoming material or your final product. So any stage you may get a non-conformity. But try to understand why we need to control these non-conforming products. Why? Non-conformity are there, but why we need to control? If we are not controlling this non-conforming product, what will happen? Why we have to control this non-conforming product? If you know this, only you can able to understand the entire concept of 8.3. If you are not controlling this non-conforming product, what is the impact? What is the consequence? What will happen?
Some accidental, something wrong with patient.
Yes, the product may not be desired output. It is a loss. We are talking about a medical device. This medical device, based on this medical device, we are going to talking about human life, right? Remember the two important words, safety and performance of the medical device. These are the two important terminology which is chasing throughout 13485 standard, if you are aware about this particular standard. So a non-conforming product, knowingly, unknowingly, you cannot issue a non-conforming product to the next process, either intentionally or unintentionally. That is why there are a lot of requirements how to control this non-conforming output. Right, look at the screen. Can we able to answer this question? I have listed various stages where the non-conformity is identified or detected. Design stage, during design validation, your product may become a non-conforming product. Regulators end, someone mentioned, right? When you are submitting your files to FDA, they have rejected it, or our CDSCO, they have rejected it. And your supplier end, there may be some non-conformity. Incoming stage, there are some non-conformity. During manufacturing activity, there may be some non-conformity. Or even during your final inspection stage, there may be some non-conformity. Post-delivery, which means after delivery, the product reaches the customer, the product is being used by healthcare industry. During that stage, there may be some non-conformity, and that is not the end. We keep on adding it. During installation, there may be a non-conformity. During service, there may be a non-conformity. When you do post-market surveillance or study, that time you may get a non-conformity. During transportation, during storage, right? There are various phases. You may get a non-conformity, but you should have a clarity. Who identifies this non-conformity and who documents this non-conformity and who controls this non-conformity? These are the three critical questions we need to answer. But whenever we go, we'll ask who is responsible, who is managing non-conforming product. The only answer what we get always, it is, right? That's what you are also having, right? Most of the time, who is doing non-conforming product in your organization? Tell me, which department? Who is handling non-conforming products? Who is controlling these non-conforming products? But look at this. If design stage any non-conformity occurs, at regulatory end any non-conformity occurs, tell me who is dealing this? Who has to identify? Who has to document? Are we documenting it first of all? Of course, this you do. You are involved with your QA QC here. How about during installation, during service, during transportation, during storage? So don't assume that non-conformity is only at within my boundary, or non-conformity can happen only at the customer end. Anywhere it may. So with this understanding, we have to approach the standard. 8.3, control of non-conforming products. So now what I'm going to do is, we all know now ISO 13485 standard itself now freely available, because ISO have made this read one access for all under pandemic. For this purpose, they have made this standard. So I'm going to share you that particular standard link to you all now in the chat box. Please refer, go to class number 8.3. I have shared a link. If you click that link, that will take you to the ISO page where you can see the entire ISO 13485 standard. I request everyone, please click that link. Go to class number 8.3. Everyone, please refer this 8.3. It has 4 subsections: 831, 832, 833, 834. I request all just have a look on this. Go through these requirements. I give you 5 minutes. Just read this text. Can you able to open this link? Can you able to access the standard copy? Yeah. So please read entire 8.3. I'll give you 5 minutes. Just to walk through. So it has 4 subclasses. (831) talks about general, how to control a non-conforming product, general requirement. That is what 8.3.1. And 832 talks about if you detected any non-conformity before delivery of your medical device, before delivery of your product to your customers, if you detected any non-conformity, how you are going to deal with that. That is what discussed in 832. And 833 talks about if you detected a non-conformity after a delivery, after the product reaches your customers, or after delivery of your product, if you found any non-conformity, how you are going to deal with that. That is what written in 833. And 834 talks about rework requirement. Just read this requirement. If you read it, please type ISO 13485 in the chat box. So I'll consider this as a acknowledgement from your side. You have just walked through this requirement. 8.3. So this is a simple requirement. We all know ISO management system standard only says what to do. It does not say how to do. In 8.3 standard says what you need to do. If you want to control this non-conforming product, what you need to do, that is what clearly written. But how you are going to do, that's very critical question. So this session, we are going to only discuss that. So I have received only 5 responses. How about others? You are not yet finished? Or if you have any difficulties reaching the standard, or you need some more time to read this 8.3 section. I need minimum 10 participants to respond. That's my criteria to proceed next slide. Only 6 people have responded. How about others? Okay, now I got 7. 3 more people. So there are 2 possibilities here. Either they have not attended the session, or they have missed that link, or you need some more time to read this, right? So I need 2 more people to respond. Then we will proceed. We'll enter into the session. Thank you. I'll consider myself also, because I have also read now. Because every time when you read this 8.3, it will give you a new additional information. Because they have designed, or they have addressed this requirement such a way how to control the non-conforming product. So let's walk through these requirements. What it says is, a company must ensure any product which does not conform to the product requirement. See, the boundary is very clear. We are talking about only product non-conformity. Any product which is not meeting the product requirement. Again, what could be the product requirement? Product requirement may be, again, customer requirement, or it may be a regulatory requirements related to product, or it may be again some specifications or standards or drawings, whatever it can be. So every non-conforming product must be identified and controlled. For what? You have to prevent its unintended use or its unintended delivery. If you came to know it is a non-conforming product, you can't You never ever send that product to the next stage, right? That is what all about this class. You must ensure that. So how you will ensure? That is what the entire 8.3 talks about. How you will ensure. For this, you should have a procedure, documented procedure. This procedure should clearly say what are the controls, who has responsibility, authority to deal with this non-conforming product. Now tell me, in your organization, if you are already certified, you are already practicing ISO 13485, do we have a procedure how to control a non-conforming product? Do you have a procedure for this in your organization? Tell me. A documented procedure. Right. In this procedure, is there any particular responsibility authority? Have you identified who is going to deal with this non-conforming products? Who has the responsibility? Who has the authority to deal with this non-conforming products? Your procedure, your documented procedure, clearly addressing this? Because there is a shall requirement. Your procedure must address what are the controls related to this responsibility authority. This is what expected. You should have a procedure. The procedure clearly says what are the controls you are going to have to deal with your non-conforming product, who is responsible for this, and who is having authority for this. So you should have a clarity on this. Now tell me whether your procedure talks about all these things. If yes, can you able to answer these questions? There are 5 important activities. ISO 13485 clearly says, you should clearly say how you will identify, how you will document, how you will segregate, how you will evaluate, how you will dispose the non-conforming products. This is the order. The very first step, what you need to do? Identify a non-conformity. The second step, document it. The third step, segregate it. The fourth step, evaluate it. Then the last step, dispose it. Now tell me, in your organization, who is having responsibility, who is having authority to do all these activities? Is it assigned to one individual or one particular department, or multiple players are involved in this? I would like to hear from the participant. Tell me, first of all, who will identify the non-conformity? Who has the responsibility and authority on this identification of non-conforming products? Is it defined in your procedure? Who will document it? Who will report it? Who will segregate it? Who will evaluate it? Who will dispose it? Those should be clearly defined. Respective process owners, whether they are aware about this, first of all. In my process, let's assume there is a non-conformity in stores department. When you are storing a product, when you are preserving a product, the product is not fulfilled, or the product is not, for example, there is a moisture control product. The moisture is not maintained, or there is a ESD product, there is a damage in ESD packaging. Now, this is a clear non-conformity, right? Who will identify it? Who will document this? Who will segregate? Who will evaluate? Who will dispose? You remember, I have listed various stages you may get non-conformity. What are the stages? During design stage, during regulatory approval stage, at supplier end, incoming stage, in-process stage, final stage, post-delivery stage, during installation, during service, during storage, during transportation. So, any stage, the non-conformity may occur, but you should have a procedure, a documented procedure, which clearly says who will identify it, who will document it. So how you are going to do? That is what the control. Here you are taking, okay, all process owners are responsible. Very good. Relevant process owners are responsible. Very good. But how? How you will identify? This is not given the standard. Your procedure should talk about. That is what, how. The question is how. Some company having a concept called as MRB. Do you have any such thing, MRB, in your organization? This entire responsibility authority to deal with the non-conforming product is with the MRB, Material Review Board, or some committee they have. Correct? How many of the process owners are aware that they are responsible for all this activity, identification, documentation, segregation, evaluation, disposition? Do you think they are aware about this? So these are the questions we need to ask ourselves when you decide, when you prepare a procedure for control of non-conforming product. Because this is the requirement of the standard. Now look at this text, what it says. Your procedure must, shall, because the shall requirement, must define the controls and related responsibility for what? For identification, documentation, segregation, evaluation, disposition. When you ask these questions to another process owner, the process owners like purchasing, the process owner like stores, what they will say? No, I won't deal non-conformity. Any non-conformity, I'll give it to quality. They will deal with it. Nothing wrong, they can deal it. But what's your procedure says? If your procedure says each process owner, concerned process owner is dealing with this, but practically it was dealt by only the quality team, it's what? You're not following your own procedure. So that's why standard made it very clear. You decide what is your procedure. It can be the concerned process owner. Make sure the concerned process owners are competent. Each and every process owner is aware about this. Clear? And general requirement has one more condition here. You have to evaluate the non-conformity first of all. You have to evaluate a non-conformity and you have to determine whether we need an investigation or not. Based on the evaluation result only, you can come to a conclusion. Okay, this is a non-conformity happened. I have evaluated. Then the evaluation comes with two options. Whether this needs to go for an investigation and relevant parties needs to be notified. So what do you mean by this need for an investigation and notification? What do you mean by this investigation and notification? You got a non-conformity. So you have to evaluate what this non-conformity is. Is it low, medium, high? You should give some criteria here. Then you take a call whether this needs investigation or not. Then notify customers, notify suppliers, notify relevant regulators, wherever. The supplier is responsible for non-conformity, inform them. And keep record for this. What record you should keep? Who evaluated the non-conformity? If you made any investigation, details of those investigations. And what basis the decision was being made, everything should be recorded. This is what the general requirement of 8.3. So you should have a procedure. That procedure should talk about all these things. I am pretty sure every company having a procedure, but what you need to ask means these questions we need to ask. What questions? Let's go one by one. The whole purpose of this training is break down these requirements. Now tell me, what is the methodology to control non-conforming product? Whether this method is documented first of all. How to handle, how to deal a non-conforming product. Do we have a procedure? Whether the procedure talks about all these things. Because your procedure not only talking about non-conformity, your procedure should also have a connection with the corrective action. Because every non-conformity may need for a corrective action, right? So how you will capture, how you will identify the non-conforming product, how will you differentiate from this conforming product, how you will segregate, how you will react to a non-conformity, everything should be documented, correct? You have to clearly document which material, which date, which machine, which serial number of product has become non-conformity. That should be documented, right? Whether these are all mentioned in your procedure. You have to prioritize, analyze, and classify the non-conformity. That is what evaluation is, right? You have to analyze the root cause. You have to take corrective action, and you have to take preventive action, and you have to notify the relevant parties. The relevant parties includes internal parties, external parties, regulators, sometimes even dealers, distributors, sometimes the healthcare units, even sometimes top management. It depends on the severity. That is why you have to evaluate. Without evaluation, how you came to know? Without investigation, how you came to know? So these are the some of the process. When we go for 13485 implementation, we found these parts are missing. And they consider it as an implied requirement. Everyone knows how to deal non-conformity. Why we need to document in a procedure? We have to document. Otherwise, everyone thinks their own style, own way, right? So these are the documentation requirement you have to consider. How to deal your procedure, ensure these requirements are captured. What are the requirements? How to handle a non-conformity? Is there any prioritizing is required? Is there any evaluation criteria required? Whom I have to notify? How I have to notify? Everything should be defined in your procedure. Is that clear? Any questions on this point? Documenting a method to control non-conforming product. And most of the organization have some procedure, Ramkeva's procedure, right? Make sure the method is clearly defined. Now come to the next important requirement, detecting non-conforming product. There are various stages non-conformity may occur, but detecting is very critical, right? Without inspecting, you cannot detect. Without review, you cannot detect, right? So what are the methodology is there to detect the non-conforming product? You may have a control plan, you may have a quality plan, you may have a inspection plan. Accordingly, you will inspect. Then you came to know whether it is a conforming or non-conforming. But there are different sources other than inspection. There are different sources you can identify or detect the non-conformity. You start always with verification activity. When you found a non-conformity, when you do inspection, again you have to further investigate whether it is due to cleanliness condition, whether this is due to human error, the various reasons, right? And as per your control plan, quality plan, you do periodic inspection. Through that, you can find some non-conformities. And you have internal verification validation plan, right? IQ, OQ, PQ. Through that, you may find some non-conformities. When you do a supplier audit, that time you may find some non-conformities, right? When you do incoming inspection, when you do internal audit, product audit, process audit, there you may find some non-conformities. And all these non-conformity, remember, it involves costs, right? Cost of poor quality, remember that. And when you do customer feedback, when you do post-market surveillance, right? When you receive a customer complaint, when you do a periodic revalidation, calibration. So there are various sources. You can detect a non-conformity. So any stage, whoever detected the non-conformity, it should be documented. That is what the second phase. So who has the authority to detect non-conformity? The answer is simple. Anyone. Anyone found there is a deviation. There is an air compressor which is not working. This is the important requirement for my clean room. That is a non-conformity, correct? Cleanliness is not being practiced. One operator is not wearing head cover. That is a non-conformity because contamination, it may be get contaminated, right? So these are some of the steps. Try to address this in your procedure. How to detect a non-conforming product. What is the mode? What is the methodology? Okay, once you detected a non-conformity, what is the next stage? You have to react it, right? So what are the options you have? How you will react to a non-conformity? Once you identified a non-conformity, immediately you will react. How you will react? Tell me, how you will react to a non-conforming product? What are the options you have for reaction? 8D. Straight away you cannot go to 8D, na? Reaction means immediate reaction. On the spot, spontaneous reaction. What could be the immediate action? Immediate action is reaction. Ah, yes. Now I got good answers. Containment. Very good. Identification, segregation. That is what the immediate action. 80 comes later. Clear? So let's discuss this reaction. What is the first reaction? Segregate. Because the whole purpose of control of non-conforming product is you have to prevent the unintended use. You have to prevent the unintended delivery, right? So for that purpose, you have to what you have to do? You have to segregate. So before segregation, you have to identify. So how you will identify the non-conformity? What is the methodology you follow in your company? You have a separate tag, right? Some identification tag you use, NC tags or sticker. What is the methodology you are using in your company? Tell me. How you will identify a non-conforming product in your company? What is your process? What is your methodology? How you will identify? Is there any sticker, or you are using some tag, a red tag, or bin, some red bin, right? So you define, have you defined that in your procedure? That is very important question you have to ask. Whatever we are discussing, it must be in your procedure. So make sure you are supposed to use a red tag or red bin, or there is a quarantine area. I will move the product to that area, whatever, right? Make sure that is in your procedure. Then segregation. You have to prove that your non-conforming product is not going to contaminate the conforming product, because defective product may contaminate, may pollute, infect. It may trigger other defects, right? You have to be very careful on dealing with the non-conforming product. If a component used in the assembly, you have to prove that raw material or product, right? It has to be clearly identified, removed from that usage. Otherwise, people can misuse it. This is directly connected with two classes, identification, traceability. Do you remember there are two classes in the standard? Directly talks about segregation. In ISO 13485, 7.5.8 and 7.5.9, this two talks about identification, traceability. This is applicable to not only your medical device, this is applicable to non-conforming product also. So physical segregation, whenever there is a hardware, you have to do physically segregate it. The whole purpose is differentiate, which is okay product, which is not okay product. And you need to ask these questions when you are preparing procedures. Which is the area I'm using for segregation? Is it separate area or is it same production area? How I will store the product? How I will transfer the product from the operational area to segregation area? How will identify the product inside the segregation area? Who is responsible for this? Now tell me whether process owner is going to do this, or an operator is going to do this, or inspector is going to do this. Who is going to segregate it? Tell me. When I asked the question, who is responsible, everyone said process owner. Now, who is exactly segregating the product physically? Who is supposed to do this? These are the questions we need to ask. Ensure your procedure addressing all these requirements. Clear? And keep record. Who segregated, which date, what are the serial number you have segregated. There should be some clarity, right? How many products you have segregated? Where is the location of this product? Accountability, everything matters. The segregation alone need lot of control. Then after segregation, you may start evaluating it, investigation, whether investigation is needed or not. For that purpose, what we need to do? We need to evaluate. So for that purpose, you are creating some document, NC register, right? Complaint register. Every company having their own document to capture, describe the non-conformity. What is the exact problem? You will evaluate. Which model, which serial number, which batch number is getting affected, who identified it, which date, which time you have identified, which location you identified the NC, what type of non-conformity it is a production error or a customer complaint or supplier error, how many numbers are identified as the NC. Clear? Everything should be documented. That is what evaluation is. Then come to investigation, whether we need to investigate this for root cause. Here only 8D comes after that. Root cause can be depends on the conditions. Functionality related or performance related, safety related or intended use related. You have to ask all these questions. And this directly connected with which class? Your corrective action and preventive action. Because this is directly connected with those tasks. Clear? For this investigation, you need again a team. You need to ask all this question during investigation. Which condition or parameter did not achieve their objective? Why this non-conformity was happened? What is the severity of this non-conformity? How many parts are getting affected? Is it only one number or the entire lot or entire batch? All those questions we need to investigate. Clear? Then what is the next step? After this, you know the clarity, you have evaluated the product. What is the impact? Right? You need to check whether the intended use is not affected. Safety requirements are not affected. There is no breach in regulatory requirement. There is no breach in standard requirement. There is no breach in product requirement. Right? Is there any direct impact? Is there any indirect impact? Everything we have to measure and verify here. Some of the non-conformity may only impact standard requirement. Some of the non-conformity may impact the entire regulatory requirement, right? So you have to ask all those questions. Then have a clarity who is going to do this. Whether they are competent, they are trained. Typically an operator can able to identify a non-conformity, but operator cannot decide whether this can be reworked or this can be scrapped or this can be accepted a deviation. Who is having authority to do that? Define that. Either he or she should have a clarity what to do with this non-conforming product. It may be individual or group of person, doesn't matter, but it should be defined in your control of non-conforming procedure. Then whole purpose of this entire 8.3 class is prevent the unintended use. To prevent the unintended delivery. So what action you will do? Sometimes you will stop the entire shipment, or you will isolate, segregate, you do sample inspection or one more inspection. Sometimes you have to notify the relevant interested parties, notifying the users. So what could be the outcome? Withdrawal the device, right? Recall sometime. Or you may use advisory notices. So depends on the impact, this needs to be done. That is the next step, disposal of the medical device. Or disposal of the non-conforming product. So after segregation, you came to know, okay, this needs to be scrapped. Then you should have a clarity. You have to keep record for this. Which serial number was disposed? Who has approved it? When was it disposed? You have to keep record. After this, you have to go and relook your risk-based approach. So remember, ISO 13485 talks about risk-based approach, and you might have did risk management as per 7.1, your standard ISO 14971. So these are the various steps you have to address in your control of non-conforming product procedure. This is what the general requirement 8.3.1. If you read the standard, it has simple requirement, but in depth you should have addressed all these requirements. Okay, up to this, any questions? Then we deal with next class. How to respond to the non-conforming product which is detected before delivery, which means within your organization, if you found any non-conformity, the product, the shipment has not started, the product has not reached the customer or not reached the distributor. If any such non-conformity is observed, what you need to do? There are three ways how to deal with a non-conforming product. Standard itself tells you these are the three ways. To take action to eliminate the detected non-conformity, take action to preclude its original intended use or application, or you are authorizing its use, you are authorizing its release under concession. This is also called as deviation, right? Are you using any such provision in your company? Concessional acceptance, deviation. Do we have any such process? The product is not meeting the requirement, but still it is not going to affect the safety of the device, performance of the device. It is not breaching the regulatory requirement. With this defect, the product can be further used. For example, there is a color texture is there. The product is not meeting the color texture, but still you are allowing. That is one example of deviational acceptance. Many organizations having a process, right? So this is how you are already dealing your non-conforming product, but whether your procedure talks about this. Now, can you please answer these particular questions in your organization? How you are going to do? Who has responsibility, authority to take this decision? This is very important. Now, who will decide it? Okay, this can be scrapped. No, this has to be reworked. No, nothing we can't do. Or, okay, this can be released under concessional acceptance. So who has the authority to do this activity in your company? Tell me, who has the authority, particularly this particular requirement? Who has authority to take a call? This can be used with some concession. Who will approve the deviation concession request in your organization? Tell me, who has to approve this? Whom do you think have authority to approve this? Concessional acceptance. Yes, it always customers. If you are a OEM, then design authority. Quality cannot decide here because we are talking about safety, performance of a medical device. Yes, customer. If you are a contract manufacturer, you have to talk to your customer. If you are a designer, you are a OEM, then your design team, right? Because they talks about the intended use. So try to address this in your procedure. That's very critical. And what type of evidence you have for this? If any concession, again, you should have a concession request, approval records. So this is what your procedure should contain. Control of non-conforming output. If any product is accepted by concession, you have to justify why this is accepted by concession. concession, who has approved it. And you have to prove that this concession is not deviating the applicable regulatory requirements. You have to prove that even though it is a concession, even though it is not meeting the requirement, but it fulfills all the regulatory requirement that we have to justify. Then only this is possible. And you have to keep record for this. Which date, who authorized this concession? This concession is applicable only to that particular serial number, or only to that particular lot, or only to that particular time duration. Everything should be documented. Clear? And this should be in your procedure. So you try to relook your process control of non-conforming product and ensure these are addressed. How you are dealing with the non-conforming product. That is what 8.3.2 important requirement. How you are dealing with the non-conforming product. So based on the effect of non-conformity, you will take a call. Most of the time, what we'll do? Correction, right? Immediate correction. So how you will correct an unconforming product? Again, remember, risk-based approach. Whether I want to do rework, whether I want to do reprocess, replacement. So you have to consider various factors while correcting an unconforming product. Right? Then after correction, you have to do inspection, right? The correction may calls for replacement, reprocessing, stop the product, containment typically, right? Remove it. Sometimes you will train your employees, sometimes you change your tool, you have to revalidate. There are various options you have for corrections. You may change your sampling size, you may change your control plan, you will include some additional checkpoint, whatever it can. Most of the time, correction requires a change in process or product. Keep record for it. Then preclude the original or intended use. How you do this? Again, go and relook your control. You want to amend some documents. You want to revalidate your softwares. You want to change the design. You have to change the instruments. Everything you have to relook. Then containment of the NC process. You will replace the operators or train them, or you replace the machines. Various options you have. So depends on the severity, depends on the complexity you need to consider. And sometimes what you will do, you will go and relook all the material which is already available within your control. Go and recheck some materials you might have already stocked. Inform the suppliers, request the supplier for replacement. There are a lot of options you have here. Then finally, concessional acceptance. So concessional acceptance is always a risk, because you know there is a non-conformity, because you only made that requirement and you are allowing them. So each concession, you have to prove that it is not going to affect the regulatory requirement. It is not going to affect the safety and performance of the medical device. You have to prove that. And the person who authorizing this, and they are held accountable tomorrow something goes wrong. Remember that. Where applicable, when you do concessional acceptance, sometimes you have to do clinical review also. For the entire batch, you are doing some concessional acceptance. Some regulators may ask you to go for clinical review also. It depends. You can degrade a product sometimes. Everything should be justified. That is very important. Just like that, you cannot have a concessional acceptance. You have to justify. So how you will justify? You need to prove that. Beyond any doubt, this concession is not going to affect the safety of the medical device. Justify. And should always come from the customers or the regulatory authorities. You cannot do it on your own. Then keep record for this. Which date, who authorized the concession, whether it is connected with the risk management, why this is not captured in your medical device risk management, right? Then deviation. Some company call it as deviation, some company call it as concessions, whatever you want to call them. Document this. So this is what all about 832. Any non-conformity detected before delivery, you can apply all these controls. Then come to 833. How you will respond? Any non-conformity detected after delivery. After delivery means nothing in your hand. It's went out of your hand. It may be at dealers, distributors, customer end, or consumer end. There are two options here. After delivery, if you detected non-conformity, or after use has already started by the customers. The medical device already is in use. Now you came to know any such non-conformity, you have to take appropriate action based on the effect, potential effect of the non-conformity, and you have to keep record. What would be that actions? Can you tell me? What are the actions? What do you mean by this appropriate actions? Yes. You ask for rework. You may ask for replacement. What is the medical device terminology we have? Industry terminology for this? Recall. Recall. That may be the one of the options. That is not the only option. That is one of the options. Correct? Product recall is one of the options. So a lot of possible options you have. We use one word, na? Advisory notice, right? That is one of them. That is what next requirement. You must document a procedure for issuing advisory notice. And this advisory notices must be issued in accordance with applicable regulatory requirements. There are a lot of regulatory requirements related to advisory notices. So which country you are doing business? Based on the country specific regulation, we have to issue. So when you have to issue advisory notice? After delivery, after use of the product, if you came to know the product is not meeting the requirement, so you need to take some action. So one of the action is what? This advisory notice. And your procedure must be capable of being put into effect at any time. What do you mean by any time? Any point of the time in the life cycle with specific timeline. You have to clearly enforce this and keep record for it. And this is very big process because they are purely referring here applicable regulatory requirements. So you have to be clearly says that what are the applicable regulatory requirements? How you are going to deal with this? Clear? Yes. Throughout the life cycle, till the lifetime of the product, you should have this. Now you heard about a lot of medical devices, right? They are issuing advisory notices after 5 years, after 10 years. Recently, in Europe, the breast implant, right? They have recently issued a recall notification, and these implants are used or implanted 15 years before. So you should have a criteria. What is the criteria to issue advisory notices? Under what circumstances you will issue this advisory notice? What is the threshold? You should have internal procedure. Whether your procedure talks about this, major non-conformity, minor non-conformity, major complaint, adverse impact. These are my criteria. Again, remember what is your applicable regulatory requirement. Accordingly, we need to issue. And in your company, who issues the advisory notices? Who is authorized to issue it? Whether those persons are aware about this process, those persons are aware about the regulatory requirement, and how you are going to issue, what is the format you are going to use, what is the methodology to issue the advisory notices. You will send an email, or you will call them and communicate, or you advertise in media, or advertise in social media. There should be some clarity. Everything should be in your procedure. Correct? And many organizations having a separate process how to deal with this advisory notices. Without this, you cannot fulfill this requirement 833. Clear? So what you need to do in 833? This is what? Issuing the advisory notice. Now tell me, is there any template you have in your company how to issue advisory notice? Is there any procedure you have how to issue advisory notices? In the life cycle of medical device, in post-market phases, advisory notice is one of the critical parts. You need to clearly locate, collect, and analyze data related to the medical device. Otherwise, there is no use of this advisory notice. Remember the regulatory requirement for this. Your advisory notices clearly says it may be use of a medical device or modification of a medical device, or you ask them to recall, right? Return of the medical device, or sometime you will inform them, don't use this, distract at your end. There are various reasons why a company is issuing an advisory notice. Sometimes you will give some additional supplementary information about the device. For that purpose, you may issue advisory notice. Sometimes you will add missing instructions, right? Initially, your user manual doesn't have that provision. Now you want to add that. For that purpose, you may issue advisory notice. Modifications, want a software update, or you want to replace a component, battery replacement. For that purpose, you may issue advisory notices. Or you ask them to dispose, or you ask them to correct the medical device. So there are various reasons why you are issuing a advisory notices. But remember, you should have a process. What would be the criteria for issuing this advisory notice? That is the important question we need to ask. Clear? Have a procedure. Who is going to do? How we are going to do? Remember, every country having their own regulation. You have to comply. And some country have their own format. How to issue advisory notice? You have to follow their format. And you have to keep record how many advisory notices you have issued. Who are the target group? Is it the doctors, or is it the biomedical engineers, or is it the patients, or is it the dealer, or is it the distributor? Who are all your target audience for this advisory notice? You have to keep evidence. This is reached everyone. Sometimes you need to train the team accordingly, right? These are all the various options, and keep record for this. So this is how we can comply 833. The next is rework. You must perform rework if it is one of your option. You need to prove that rework will not create any other effect. Just because you are doing rework, it doesn't contaminate the product, correct? So make sure your rework is not troubling the product safety or performance. And after rework, again, it has to undergo the same review approval. So every rework you have done, again, you have to re-inspect the product. And you have to keep record for this. And you have to prove that rework, after rework also your product meeting the acceptance criteria and meeting the regulatory requirements. What is the difference between rework and repair? This rework is after detecting a non-conformity. Repair, what you do is as part of service. That is different. This is rework on a non-conforming product at your end. You have to consider all this activity when you do rework. You have to plan rework activity. Okay, who are the operator to do rework? Is it the same operator who does production, or we need a different skill here? Is it the same instrument I am going to use or a different instrument I am going to use? Rework where I am doing within my company or at site. Then what the rework instrument I am going to use? Whether those are all calibrated. You have to consider every aspect. After rework, what is the test criteria? Everything should be planned. And your risk management talks about rework also. And many company, these parts are missing there. Then you have to consider the potential adverse effect. Sometimes you have to rework. The entire rework process itself, you have to rework. Whether the rework is really feasible. What is the effect of rework on medical device safety, performance, and regulatory requirement? After rework, further we need to go for any clinical study. All those questions we need to ask. Then after rework, again you will go and re-inspect and verify the product. Right? And you have to prove that rework is performed as per your defined procedure. Keep record for it. Consider the operator who is going to rework, they are competent. Because the same skill may not required, right? We need some additional skill when you do rework. Because you are doing rework on a product. Remember, the machines are competent to do that. What is the methodology for rework? These are the questions we need to ask yourself when you do for rework. And remember, your investigation evaluation always calls for these two action: corrective action and preventive action. Correction we have discussed. In initial evaluation question, I asked one. Rework is corrective action, true or false? It is false, right? Rework is only a correction. So corrections, we have three possibilities. What are the three possibilities? One is rework, then reject. What else? Concessional acceptance. Correct? These are the three options. This is called as correction. After this, we do 8D or root cause analysis, that is corrective action. Then preventive action. So these are the requirement of 134. And this corrective and preventive action, we have a dedicated requirement standard 852, 853. Here they are clearly mentioned, right? Here also they talks about this is non-conformities, includes product non-conformity and process non-conformity, various non-conformities. This is the common procedure. You have to review the non-conformities, including your customer complaints, determine the root causes, right? Then take action to eliminate the root causes, verify the corrective action, review the effectiveness, then record it. The same way in preventive action. But the only difference here is, here you are determining the causes of a existing non-conformity, and here you are determining the causes of a potential non-conformity. That is the only difference, right? Corrective action is taken on a occurred event. Corrective action is taken on the detected non-conformity, whereas preventive action is taken on the potential non-conformities. So these two are all the mandatory requirements of ISO 13485. So these are some of the critical points I would like to address as part of 8.3, how to control non-conforming product. So now what I'll do is I'll be sharing a link now. This is about 8.3, control of non-conforming product course feedback. After that, this session is open for Q&A. I've shared the link. I request participant can please put your feedback in this form. Then after this, we have Q&A. You are free to ask any questions related to this topic. So you can unmute your device and you can speak if you have any specific questions related to this 8.3. Now the forum is open for Q&A.
Karthik sir, you talk about the advisory notice. Is there something called warning notice?
Advisory notices includes, there are different type of advisory notices, right? One is just giving a warning. There are other type which ask for recall. There are other type which ask them to discard. So there are multiple category under your advisory notices. See, you read the standard definition, what is advisory notice. If you read the very first definition, 3.1 in ISO 13485, the link what I have shared, which clearly says, any information, additional information, if you want to give it to the users after the delivery, it is called as advisory notice. It's an advice. That is the simple terminology. Clear?
So any implication from legal perspective? One
Yes,
can take that to court also, no?
Yes, that's what the regulatory requirement standard made it very clear. When you issue advisory notice, you have to be very clear. You have to fulfill the applicable regulatory requirements.